Welcome to The Explainer. Every single business, I don't care if you're a one-person startup or a massive global company, has to face this one huge question. Should we build this ourselves, or should we just pay someone else to do it? Today, we're going to dig into that make or buy decision, a choice that honestly shapes everything: your strategy, your brand, and at the end of the day, your success. All right, before we jump in, a quick note that this explainer was prepared by Dr. Samira Al-Rashani with AI support. Okay, let's do this. So, here's our game plan for today. First up, we're going to tackle the basic dilemma itself. Then, we'll dig into those sneaky hidden costs that can totally trip you up. From there, we'll give you a solid three-pillar framework for making a really smart choice. See how it works in the real world, and finally, we'll talk about why this is never, ever a one-and-done deal.
All right, let's kick things off with the dilemma itself. At its core, this is a question every leader, every founder has to wrestle with.
On the surface, it seems pretty simple, right? Do we use our own team, our own resources, and build it in-house, or do we just hire an outside supplier to do it for us? But here's the thing, the easy answer, it's almost never the right one. So let's get a good, solid definition on the table here. A make or buy decision is that head-to-head comparison of the costs and the benefits of doing it yourself versus outsourcing it. And this isn't just about, manufacturing widgets, right? This applies to absolutely everything, from your IT department and your marketing campaigns all the way to your customer support. It's one of those fundamental strategic choices that really forces you to weigh all the options. Okay, let's really get into this, because this is where so many good intentions just fall apart. To make the right call, you've got to look way beyond the sticker price and see the real economic cost of a decision. All right, first up, we've got the easy stuff: explicit costs. These are the direct, out-of-pocket expenses your accountant just loves because they show up so neatly on a spreadsheet. We're talking about wages for your team, the cost of raw materials, the rent for your office. Basically, if you write a check for it, it's an explicit cost. Simple. But then you have the tricky ones, the implicit costs. These are kind of the ghost costs, what economists call opportunity costs. It's the value of what you had to give up to do something else. So, for example, if your absolute best engineers spend a whole month developing a new part in-house, the implicit cost is the other brilliant revenue-generating project they could have been working on instead. And this table right here, this is where the picture gets crystal clear. Look at the accounting profit on the left. Hey, $10,000. Looks like a win, doesn't it? But hold on. Now look over at the economic profit on the right. The second we factor in that $40,000 opportunity cost, the value of the project our team didn't do, the whole story just flips on its head. That nice-looking profit, it's actually a $30,000 loss. And this is so important. The books might show a small profit, but in reality, the decision actually destroyed value for the company. They would have been way better off doing something else entirely. Ignoring these hidden costs, well, it's like driving with your eyes closed. So, how do we keep from driving right off that cliff? Well, that's where having a solid, structured framework is basically your superpower. This framework from PwC's Strategy End basically breaks it all down into three key questions you absolutely have to ask. First up, strategy. How important is this thing to our core mission? Second, risk. What's the worst that can happen if we outsource this? And third, economics. What's the real all-in cost here, hidden stuff and all? All right, so let's take this framework out for a spin and see how these pillars actually work in the real world. This is where the rubber meets the road. And this is a perfect lead-in to our first pillar, strategy. Just listen to this quote, it just nails it. Harley-Davidson's Made in America brand is so strong, consumers don't care if accessories are made overseas. That says everything, doesn't it? Think about it. For Harley, building those bikes in-house, it's everything. It's their soul, it's their brand, it's what makes them different. Outsourcing the motorcycles themselves would be total brand suicide. But a t-shirt, a leather jacket, that stuff supports the brand. It doesn't define it. So those can be safely outsourced to keep costs down. It's such a clear strategic line in the sand. Make what defines you, buy what just supports you. So the strategic thinking kind of boils down to this. You make it yourself when you're protecting your secret sauce, right? Your core technology, what makes you different, a process that you're constantly changing. You guard that with your life, but you buy it when you're chasing efficiency. If you need to cut costs, react faster to what the market is doing, or just tap into someone else's expertise for a non-critical task, outsourcing is your best bet. Okay, pillar number 2, risk. And this is a big one, because when you outsource, you're not just handing over a task, you're taking on someone else's risk. Let's look at General Motors back in '06. They had this colossal $15 billion IT contract. Instead of putting all their faith in one single supplier, they sliced up that massive contract and gave pieces to 6 different companies. Why? It's the oldest rule in the book. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. If one of those suppliers stumbled, it wouldn't crash their entire global operation. And that's a brilliant way to manage something called hold-up risk. That's the danger of a supplier getting you over a barrel because they know you completely depend on them. And as you can see here, there's no single perfect answer. You can go with one partner for tight alignment, but you have zero backup. Or you can have multiple suppliers competing, which is great, but wow, that's a lot more work to manage. The key isn't finding the one right way. It's choosing your risk strategy on purpose. And finally, we land on pillar number 3, economics. The best way to think about this is like an iceberg. That price a supplier quotes you, that's just the tiny little tip you see above the water. Underneath, that's where all the real costs are hiding. The shipping and handling, the extra inventory you have to keep, the salaries of the people you have to hire just to manage that supplier. All of it. The real question is never what's the purchase price. It's what's the total cost of ownership. Okay, this brings us to a really important final point. You've got to understand that this make or buy thing, it's not a set it and forget it decision. It's a living, breathing part of your strategy. The market changes, your strategy pivots, technology leaps forward. I mean, that supplier who was a rock star last year might be on shaky ground today. What was a genius move 5 years ago could be a total disaster now. So constantly reevaluating isn't just a nice to have, it's basic survival. And here are some of those triggers that should be like a giant flashing light telling you to rethink everything. Your go-to supplier suddenly shuts down. Obvious, right? But what about a massive surge in demand? Or a cool new opportunity pops up that you really want to own? Or hey, how about what we're seeing now? With costs rising overseas, making it cheaper to bring work back home. That's called reshoring. All of these are reasons to open the books on this decision all over again. So we'll leave you with this question, and it's one to really think about for whatever you're working on. Your business is constantly changing, constantly evolving. Are your make or buy choices keeping up? Because at the end of the day, the real trick isn't just making the right call today. It's building the discipline to keep asking the question day after day to make sure it's still the right call tomorrow.